foreigners, because you're a foreigner somewhere. I'm Pete Wolf. This is Emily Blitzer. We are not here. Living in China, not discovering it. First of all, I want to ask you to subscribe. I want to ask you to hit that bell, to hit that like button, because we're not asking you for money. Why aren't we asking you for money? Because we're not the news. Where do you get your news?
What an excellent question, and I'm glad you asked. Because today I wanted to talk a little bit about drinking from that fire hose of information that is the internet in regards to specifically living through a coronavirus-related lockdown.
Variety of viruses.
Yeah. I mean, there's not actually an easy descriptor for what we're going through, because we're not going through virus crisis. We're going through not lockdown crisis. But anyway, how do I stay informed? And, make your own choices. Don't listen to me. But I think one of the big things for me early on in learning about how the situation was developing was I don't have time for people who are not in China doing reporting. Mm-hmm. Whether that's, on the vlog side, just citizen journalists telling their story, or bureau people here in China. I don't need to read another story about US residents. Here's why you don't need to worry. Don't go buy all the masks at Walgreens. That doesn't really help me. I mean, if you're in the US, read that and then don't go buy all the masks at Walgreens.
Most of all, don't send it to me, because I'm sick of my Facebook with people sending YouTube people. What am I doing?
Oh, sending the masks?
No, sending YouTube messages of other YouTubers and their coverage of the reportage of what it's like from...
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I think this is what I found, is social media has a good place, but it's not cutting edge information. Just due to the nature of social media, it's kind of ridiculous to believe this video that popped up in my feed must have the most accurate information. No, that's not true.
Yeah,
and also I do not believe that they have more access to information than we do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's lies and
or guesses or rumors.
Guesses or some kind of agenda from across the sea to tell us what's happening. We've got the same news. We've got the same.
Oh, you mean
internet.
American YouTubers?
Everybody.
Oh, okay.
Stop sending.
Stop
posting.
Just totally wrote off American YouTubers' commentary entirely.
Especially American YouTubers, Western YouTubers. YouTubers here, I mean, at least I can have some kind of camaraderie with.
Yeah, that's. I think the social media is good for the camaraderie aspect, for the human personal story, because I'll get into this when I talk about news, because YouTube's not news. But there is a human, this story is happening to humans, and it's easy to get caught up in the facts and figures, and so that's where I feel like social media really shines in telling these individual human stories. And then there are a couple people who I do think have some good commentary, like Daniel Dumbrill.
Dumbrill, yeah.
He's in Hong Kong. He seems like he's straddling the border there.
Yeah, I haven't followed that.
But he seems like he has a good take on the situation. I guess that's the hot take, is the language of today. I don't need anybody's hot take. But I do want to hear how other people are doing. And maybe patterns they've recognized.
But so much of the information that comes filtering in is just how many people are dying. Do you know how many people are dying?
Well, this gets me too. I didn't check with my producer on this, but I want to talk a little bit about numeracy. Please don't turn off. There is a stigma, especially in America, that math is hard. But math is not hard. Listen up. You can't get a story from one number. And can I give you an example?
Please.
So, say you woke up and you heard in Fargo, North Dakota, just randomly, 5 households died overnight of carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, in a human story, the 5 deaths is 5 deaths, and that's sad and tragic. But 5 on its own doesn't tell you if the population of Fargo is 6. Oh my God, that's significant. If the population of Fargo is 1 million, that's less significant. Still tragic, but not. It means a different thing. If those 5 households were recent implants from 𝗵𝗵̱c̱hi, that would be worth investigating. If there doesn't seem to be any pattern to the deaths at all, that's a different story. So you need to have the context. So that anybody, professional outlet or amateur, shouting out death tolls and nothing else, I don't have time for, because that's not actually any useful information. And I also get that information on my phone, and frequently when I see whatever piece of information is out, that number's old and out of use anyway.
Right.
The second numeracy thing, and then we're done with math, even though math is great, math is alive, is, so you need more than one number to make a story. And really the pattern is where we can start to learn things. We as amateurs, we as experts, that's how everybody does it. And you may have bad data, but if it's consistently bad, whether the numbers are being underreported in the consistent way or manipulated in a consistent way, if the manipulation or the problem with your data is consistent, you still can kind of get useful information out of it. So for example, February 13th, Hubei changed the diagnosis standard for coronavirus, so the cases jumped up 15,000 overnight, which is like huge and scary. But then, like, if you know why, it's because doctors had been asking, they needed an easier way. Then now they just say if someone has pneumonia in their lungs on an x-ray, they are treated as if they have coronavirus versus the test, which was unwieldy and they were running out and blah blah blah. So that's the doctor's decision there. But that also means you can't compare numbers from before the 13th to after the 13th, and that's just the fact of the matter. So if anybody's trying to do that, don't you can't take them seriously. And that's your statistic math lesson for the day.
So if people are just throwing the blatant numbers at you because they sound scary.
Yeah, numbers do sound scary.
Then these become this more heightened, excited fervor that, like, I can't actually decipher. Us sitting here with all of this information, even if we can decipher it to as best as we can, most of the voices that are cascading in are fearful ones of, like, do I actually know what's going on?
Well, and that's the larger issue of what we're grappling with in the internet information algorithm-driven age of, like, people click on stuff they have an emotional response to, especially the response of fear. So people who want to get a lot of clicks, again, amateurs and news outlets, go with the fear story.
Yeah. We all know this. This is just how news has always worked.
So you have to make your own filter, and don't click on stuff that sounds scary just because it scares you.
Unless you're going to go and click on it because you want to debunk it, and you want to laugh at it and Mystery Science Theater it or something like that.
Yeah, this seems like a weird way to spend your time.
Yeah, I mean, whatever jollies and kicks that you get out of, like, death tolls.
Yeah.
At least make it productive and get a laugh out of it.
Yeah, because something to keep in mind of the death tolls and the disease tolls total. I'm back to numbers, sorry. You can't get away. But that a large percentage of those numbers are still in Hubei province. This is a Hubei problem. It's a world problem in that we're all responsible to each other. But it's like we are not in a danger zone because the numbers just don't reflect that.
What are our numbers right now?
We have 19 people sick, which has been for the past couple days, and I think 2 people have recovered overall. In
a city of 2 million.
Yeah, over 2 million. In our city, Sichuan is like, I think 400 and 100 people have recovered as of February 14th, if today is in fact February 14th. It's a little hard to keep track of the days. I can keep track of the numbers. I can't quite keep track of the date.
Yeah.
But so, like, in a very news you can use kind of way, the more useful information for Peter and I is like, when can we leave the house? How's the lockdown affecting the flow of food? Are they going to pull delivery people from the street? And so far it seems like...
Well, what we're dealing with is like on...
and that's not news that 𝗣𝗵cie could use.
Our friend that's selling hot pot gear for home hot pots.
Oh yeah, that's news I can use.
Yeah, that's stuff we can, that's what we're doing here on the ground. Like whether or not this is a vast conspiracy theory that's been working for decades to weed out the public and test the military for zombie attacks or something like that, keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah, or
I want to know if there's
a movie.
a hot
I'll
pot
watch
coming
that
to my
movie in a year or two.
Oh, well, yeah. Contagion, I guess, and something else is like the biggest watched movie right now in all of China. Of course.
Really? Of course. I love it.
So,
中国加油.
So, like, the information that we need, or send masks, or, just send like, hey, are you doing okay? Just call. Say how you doing. Don't send us fear messages from across the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not helping anybody.
Yeah, and
what are we gonna do?
Don't be scared yourself. One day we all will die, and you can take great comfort in that.
Yeah.
I did have something real to say. I mean, that's real. Mortality's real.
What?
I had one more thing to say about... Oh, I don't know. I lost it.
Was it about deliveries?
Oh, no, it was about... I mean, my personal news habits tend towards the science and pop science and so that's what... Because we've reached a point in the larger news cycle that in America... You have the Democratic primary, you had the Super Bowl, you had the Oscars, so it does seem like...
We're old news.
The American news sites are not so much featuring...
Our descriptions aren't trending anymore
SARS-CoV-2, I'll use the official name. Yeah, and this is, if you've read any Douglas Adams, whatever happened to the dolphins, I feel like is maybe the stage we're in. So I do actually...
Thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, I do have to go looking for... the information I'm looking for, and that tends to be like, well, how do you develop a vaccine? Is it plausible to develop a vaccine? Is it what else are they doing? Oh, they're developing some antivirals that look promising, and like, so that kind of solid scientific info is kind of what's interesting and comforts me.
And for me, what I'm really enjoying are articles like Wuhan has been famous as like the punk indie epicenter, and that was like the reason we've been wanting to go for years. And we've
had tentative plans to make a plan.
Yeah. So when what's the Rad 2?
Oh yeah, I think it's Radii.
Whatever they call themselves. Look at one of those two things. They had a great article on the history of punk and indie in the town, and
that's cool.
What that kind of mean. Like, will we ever be able to go see? Will a scene stay there? Like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm gonna spend my time with. Because otherwise, I mean, we know friends in the hospital that we're doing what they say.
Right.
I can't really do...
And I'll stress again, we know friends in hospital administration, not sick people currently in the hospital. Not that if we knew sick people in the hospital, then,
No, I wouldn't talk to them.
We'd feel different.
I'd shun them.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of information out there. You have to kind of take your media oh my goodness.
Well, and
you have to take your media literacy into your own hands, because otherwise it's just too much to process.
Then also, like, what is the difference, even for people like us that are here? Like, we are not news. We don't actually have any information other than what we're doing here on the ground.
Well, that was a frustrating criticism that people gave us in the early days when we were like, we're goofing around talking about our feelings, and people would be like, there's no new information in this. Like, there wasn't
We're not supposed to be. Don't look to us
and
for information.
Don't watch YouTube videos for news. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, the people that I watch, the other YouTubers that are here, I want to see their stories of like, how are they doing? How are their families doing? Things like deliveries, like, are you getting deliveries? Like, you know, what are you doing about, like, I don't know, if your kids are sick or are your kids going crazy, or like, I want to know stories about like what other people like me are doing. I don't need people like, you know, running through the streets with their, you know, their masks going like, I'm having a daring wild adventure time or anything like that. Like, it's,
hey, no one's outside. Yeah, I got a window.
Yeah, and also there's nothing outside. There's nobody. They're empty streets. I don't know why people are like, I'm talking like from commenters are asking like, show me what's out there. I want to see what's going on and everything. There's nothing going on. Like the streets of China are, an average walk down the streets of China are fairly dull. Like, if you're lucky, you've got like they've nice landscaping, a couple of stores. Like, it's great. You pass by a couple of old people, a couple of little kids. Like, it's a nice little walk. It's not that much to look at. All, like, you know, it's not like pagodas and lily pads everywhere with people with flutes. Like, it's just a city.
We
and now
do have all those things on our ground, but
but I mean, you can show them once and that's it. Like, the people that want to see like what's on the ground. There's nothing out there at the moment. And
well, I think to put the journalist hat back on, I think the stage of a story where we're monitoring the situation as it develops, and it's been developing for a very long time, is doldrums. It is where you start coming up with ill-advised think pieces on like, what kind of bat sandwiches would you eat? No one has done that. I was just trying to think of like the outrageous, stupid trend pieces that people would tend to pitch in a time when there's like, the situation is developing and it will continue to do so.
Well, and that's the responsibility of that you would have what normal media, what mainstream media, what actual people that went to school to learn how to do this are supposed to have. But if they barely have it, why would you be looking at people like us to like give you any kind of serious facts?
Well, I mean, I understand why you would. Because
the mainstream doesn't actually
in a vacuum of information, or in that doldrums where it's like, let's wait and see as it develops, or it's continuing to develop as it has done. You're desperate. If that's the thing you're concentrating on, you do want to hear any new piece of information. And I think that's where people look to vloggers, maybe, you know, misguidedly so, but it's an understandable impulse why. Right. Well, it's like when Harry Potter 5 took forever to come out. I would comb the internet for like any hint of what was going to be in the book, and if the answer continues to be she's still writing it, that you have to just live with that. Right. And that's hard. Right. But that's what you have to do. The
stories to look for, and what for me anyways, that are interesting are what are people doing, especially people like us, and how are they holding up? Because there isn't any facts that isn't on the internet, that the Americans don't have, that the Swedish don't have, that the Chinese will let us have, that like whatever.
Even the fact that information is being controlled and manipulated here is known to people who cover China, and they know how it works and how it happens and what they can extrapolate from imperfect information. Yeah. So. Yeah. So yeah, that's what that's my news diet. Don't watch television news ever. It's useless. Yeah. It's all advertiser driven.
Also, don't watch Colbert. I'm getting so sick of that guy.
That's a whole different podcast, but yeah. I'll end with, I don't believe in Stephen Colbert's sincerity. Take that, noodles.